Greetings to you, my friends. What you've been listening to is a little bit of music from a class I was teaching in Ukraine on evangelism at the International Baptist Bible College. We had about 22 students there, very eager to learn. And because I was teaching evangelism, we spent a lot of time on the gospel message. In Eastern Europe, a lot of people don't believe in eternal security, so they live with doubts and fears about whether they are saved forever. And at the end of the class, I was able to give an invitation, and about half of the people responded there that they were sure now that they were going to heaven. So that was exciting to see. I have been traveling a little bit. It's a little more difficult in these days, and not a lot of fun either. I earlier in the summer went to South Africa. It was actually to fulfill a commitment I'd made years ago to do a little hunting there, but while there spoke in a church, and you can see what speaking in a church looks like in a country with strict COVID restrictions. Nevertheless, where I was staying at the guest house, the manager Wellis and I got into a conversation, and I was able to lead him to the Lord. And so he is now rejoicing that he's going to heaven as well. And then I made another little trip to something. The rumor is I like to fish, and I got to Alaska with my son, and we did a little fishing. Not just for fish, we did well, but also for men, or women, I should say. Jerry Lynn came to know the Lord. She was one of our drivers to one of the events, and we brought her to a knowledge of Jesus Christ and confidence in her eternity. So I've been doing a lot of speaking in churches and conferences through the summer, and I did a conference in Miami, for example, and in the Atlanta area, and we'll be in Houston for the Free Grace Alliance conference, and a lot of churches locally and in other places. One of the things I'm looking forward to doing is a wild beast feed, a church in Wisconsin, and that's where I'll be telling like hunting stories and weaving the gospel in. It's an evangelistic event to attract a lot of people who are interested in hunting, which is true up there in Wisconsin, and they'll hear the gospel as they hear hunting stories as well. We continue to reach out through our internet resources and Zoom meetings to teach pastors in Zambia. And because of your kind generosity and support, we were able to buy a new computer because theirs was having trouble linking up with us. And Myanmar, which is controlled by a very brutal military regime now, so that we don't have access there, has been struggling just to provide people with basic needs. COVID hit them very hard, and they didn't have oxygen to breathe, so we arranged some transfers so that they could buy oxygen. Not only that, but they've had a shortage of food, and people are actually starving. So our Christian partners there are helping with the food and getting those things to their neighbors and sharing the gospel as they do. Our partner in Burundi reported that some of his churches don't have tin roofs, and the rainy season is just now coming upon them. So, by a special appeal, the people responded, and we are now putting roofs on some of their churches over there. Because if you don't, the mud bricks will just melt down and dissolve, and they lose all the work that they've done. I might mention to you some of the other projects I'm involved in. There's a new book coming out. I have a chapter in it. The book is called Living by Grace. Look for it on Amazon anytime in October or later. And my chapter is on practicing grace in ministry. And we'll be doing a webinar on that. A lot of things are taking place on the internet. I've been spending a lot of time doing podcasts also, working on our podcast, which is called Simply by Grace. You can find our Simply by Grace podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to keep in touch with us, please. Gracelife.org is our website. It has a lot of resources accessed all over the world and many useful tools for you and in other languages as well. But at gracelife.org, you can also sign up for our printed newsletter mailed quarterly, our emailed e-letter, which is also sent out quarterly, and just see and stay updated on some of our projects. You'll also find me on Facebook. Look for Grace Life Ministries there, or on Instagram under Simply by Grace, simply underscore by underscore grace for my Instagram account. Well, I wish I was with you now, and I'll look forward to the time that we will see you. In the meantime, would you please pray for me and Grace Life Ministries that the Word of God would continue to spread and people would continue to be liberated by the gospel of grace and a clear understanding, and that I would have God's protection, His provision, and His power along the way. Thank you so much for your prayers. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for listening.